Welcome to the Ballroom Dance Channel. We are a worldwide community of ballroom dancers who meet here every day to chat all things ballroom dance. Thank you so much for your continued well wishes for my eye surgery recovery. I'll tell you, they itch like all can get out, guys. And my vision is still blurry. And what is this, day number 6 now? But my surgery did take over 2 hours, so they said it would take about 3 weeks to get that net result. So mama's just got to be real patient. I don't like it. Okay, today's topic. I've shared many videos on aspects of your dance sport presentation on the floor that completely affect your marks in competition that have nothing to do with the dancing. So today's focus is costuming color. So why does that matter? Well, it's not just a matter of attracting the judges' eyes to you on the floor, though that is certainly part of it, guys. And I shared with you a story of how I had a very dear friend who kept on vying for first and second place. And our coaches were like, you got to pick a butt ugly gown with hideous colors that just makes you notice on the floor because we aren't seeing you. So she picked the most hideous color combo ever. And you know what? They ended up winning nationals that year. So there's something to be said about color. Anyway, color fires up your limbic system. What is that? It's a hormonal cascade that makes you feel something when you look at anything. So think about the movie La La Land. We see those warm colors. There's a recurring theme of red and yellow throughout the film. These are warm, sympathetic nervous system responses just because I'm seeing those warm colors. And so let me show you a snapshot from that film just so you get a reflection of what on earth I'm talking about. I'll be right back. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about the parasympathetic nervous system. These are things that are fired up when we see those cooler, darker colors. And so let me show you a quick screenshot from the Batman movie. I'll be right back. Tell me if it makes you feel any different than La La Land. So we see the blues, the teal green, the dark gray colors. It just inspires kind of an uneasy feeling. So filmmakers use this to the fullest extent. Advertisers use this to the fullest extent. Well, we as dancers want to use this to our benefit too. Think about it. First impressions. You get one chance to make a first impression. So visually, you get that response 200 milliseconds after you see that person in that costume. Well, that prefrontal cortex of your brain that does the analytical analysis, that doesn't fire till 400 milliseconds. Now, that might sound like nothing to you, but there is only one opportunity to make a first impression on the floor. When my students ask my opinion, suggest a color of a costume that's going to be most complementary to their dancing. For example, if they're frenetic, if they looked panicked out there on the floor, well, I'm going to choose maybe a cooler color. I would recommend that because when the judge looks at me and sees panic, I want something to counterbalance that so they get an overall good juju vibe when they look at me, right? Or what if I have a dancer that's very shy and insular and has a problem expressing themselves on that floor while they're dancing? Well, heck yeah, you're going to wear orange. You're going to look like you're fired up and thirsty and want attention, right? So I would recommend asking your coach kind of what their interpretation is of your dancing and what's going to be most complimentary for you. Now, in terms of cut and style, definitely ask your costume designer because they're going to be much more of an expert, have their hand on the pulse of the cut that's going to work for you. But your coach is going to understand where you shine or maybe a little bit of weaknesses on the comp floor, and they're probably going to recommend a good color for you. Now, of course, if it's early on in your dancing and you're not at those super elite levels, if you like pink, hey, you just rock pink. There's nothing wrong with that. But for those of you who are serious hardcore competitors, hey, you got to play every card you got. So we want to use the color to trigger that psychological immediate response. So what does that limbic system do? It triggers memory formation, motivation and reward centers, emotional processing. What on earth do you think we want? We're on that comp floor. Heck yeah. Let me inspire emotion in that judge. Let me trigger their memory so they remember me when they're doing those marks and I don't disappear in the background. Motivation and reward. Yeah, I want them to feel something good when they look at me and not, ooh. Okay, so today I want to dive a little bit deeper into the details that the warm colors bring to the table, because there are a number of warm colors you could wear on that comp floor, and each of them trigger certain emotional response in your judges, and you got to pick which one you want. Okay, so number one, let's look at red. What does that inspire emotionally in us when we see that? Passion, arousal, adventure. Sometimes quick decision making can be prompted in that judge's mind when they see the color red, like, ooh, and they'll look at you maybe sooner than one of the other couples. The downside of that is it can also trigger fight or flight danger response. So maybe if your dancing is a little bit, I'll say, out of control and sloppy on that comp floor, maybe red isn't the color for you. Okay, next up, orange. I love me some orange. Now, of course, is that a hideous color on the street? Yeah, usually, but I gotta tell you, on the comp floor, everyone's looking. It tells people you want to be seen. So if you have that super insular energy, I highly recommend rocking that orange color. It can communicate enthusiasm and energy. Think about it. You see an orange dress walking out there and like, ooh, she wants to be seen. So it just sends a little message to the judges not to ignore you. Okay, yellow. My very first comp gown, my open level comp gown I bought was yellow, and I loved it. It was so bright. I got so many compliments. Interestingly, guys, yellow is the most noticeable color to the human eye. Yellow's a good color. Now, compared to the red and orange, it's definitely a different energy. It's nostalgia, it's energy, it's a warmth, it's a much softer energy than that red, which is a little bit more aggressive. Now, the final warm color I want to address today, brown. I've seen brown colors on the floor, or you might have costumes with flesh tone accents. Now, there are absolute positive emotions that brown will elicit, and comfort, for example. But here's the problem. When you're sporting brown or tan, solid, on that dance floor, well, what color is the floor? It's brown or tan, and you blend. So you kind of lose that opportunity just to be seen. So in that case, if you are gonna rock the brown or the tan, I highly recommend an accent color, and a lot of people do that. And as mentioned earlier, those cooler colors, blues, teal greens, purples, black and white are cooler colors. They're going to fire up your parasympathetic nervous system, which is a whole nother set of emotions that might work in your favor depending on how you dance on that floor. I'm going to get into that next time. Final thought for today. I'm getting a lot of messages recently regarding work visas for international dancers. People are reaching out that do jazz or folk dance, other styles. And guys, I don't know diddly squat about those styles. I had jazz and folk dance briefly in my own dance studio, but my focus was hugely ballroom dance. I have never taught those styles. I've taken some of those classes for fun, but I don't know diddly squat about that visa process. I know in my neck of the woods, ballroom is exponentially more popular. And in my studio, the Ballroom Dance Company, ballroom and Latin were king. I ran those classes for a couple years, and people would go if their teachers pushed them to. And I'm not about pushing classes on anyone. So you might consider joining a Facebook group of, say, folk dance or jazz dance or whatever your specialty is. If you can maybe just cast your net out there. Hey, I'm a folk dancer from Germany and I want to teach in these countries. Does anyone know anyone who knows anyone who might be looking? And I'll bet you can get a little nibble that way. And as for the ballroom dancers, I also have ballroom dance teachers still to this day contact me asking me to sponsor them, because I have sponsored professional ballroom dancers in the past. But a couple challenges with this. Number one, I no longer own a dance studio, so I cannot sponsor you. And I'm certainly not going to sponsor you as an individual and have that huge financial responsibility totally on me. Number two, the vast majority of people contacting me are not championship level dancers. If you aren't a legit, solid championship level dancer, the government's not going to approve that work visa because it's not really a specialized skill that you possess, okay? They're replaceable by an American, and I can't sponsor someone on international work visa unless I can show that I could not find an American to fill that job position. If you aren't a really accomplished dancer, it might be a waste of your time and resources. So anyway, guys, I look forward to seeing you first thing tomorrow morning for some more things ballroom dance. Guys, have a wonderful, happy dancing day. Bye.